My name is Shashank Yadav, and I'm the founder and CEO of Loco app, a hyperlocal delivery app. So I will be taking your webinar on COVID-19 detection and screening using IoT. So am I audible to everyone? Okay. Okay, so let's start. So today we are going to understand about like what are the effects of COVID-19 on various sectors, right? After that, precautionary measures which we are going to take about against COVID-19, then role of technology in prevention. After that, we will understand what is IoT and how does it works. Why IoT is the best solution to fight with COVID-19. Then design and working of automatic thermal screening system using IoT. Okay. So first of all, like coronavirus has affected all the sectors very badly, especially in India and China. Entire world has faced a lot of pandemic, but right now we can see that our GDP is falling at a very rapid rate. So as we can see in 2019, right? So it was like 5.3%, but now as we can see the growth of GDP in 2020, it's like 3.6%. So it's actually overall impacting all the different sectors which are working in India, which are actually giving their contribution to our GDP. So first of all, we will understand what is happening in the pharma industry. So this is the only industry which is right now gaining profit due to this pandemic situation, as there is an increased demand of medicine, especially paracetamols and other medicines which are related to this COVID-19 symptoms. Right. So many new companies have started to launch their antibiotic products and other immunity booster products to fight from coronavirus. So previously we were mostly dependent on China for the medicine part. Like we used to import around 100% of our antibiotics from China, around 70% of other medicines. But right now, due to this COVID, like we have started most of our production in India itself. And recently, US has required one medicine called hydrochloroquine, which is basically used for the treatment of malaria. So that is also produced by India, as India is also one of the major production of the pharmacy products. Then we will come to the chemical industry. In chemical industry, we can see that nearly 20% of the production has been interrupted because most of the raw materials they were imported from China, as China was a neighboring country and they have like a lot of natural resources. So most of the chemicals we used to import from China, but right now, like due to this corona situation, the ports are closed. Second, as we right now don't have a good relation with our neighboring country. So 20% of that production part is actually affected right now. So it's no opportunity for some of the countries in US and European nations. So they can come and they can actually explore this market, and even in India also we can start some of our own plant for the chemical production. Then comes to the electronic industry. So electronics, we all know that most of the products and most of the manufacturing units were installed in China, and China was one of the major producers. So India used to import a lot of electronics products from China, related to your home appliances, then daily use for the industries, so, or even for the medical purpose also. But right now, the because of this COVID, like the trade has been stopped from both the sides. So India is right now fearing, because the manufacturing unit, like the major material, we can say the raw material and the final material, both were imported from China. So the major material, which is silicon and other semiconductors, which were imported from China, is not there. So it is going to affect this industry a lot and can increase the prices also. Now the solar power industry. So China previously used to provide 80% of solar panels to India, and there were some Indian manufacturers also who have started their manufacturing of solar panels under the initiative of Make in India. In that also we were importing raw materials from China, but due to this, now we are not able to import the materials, and so this industry is also very deeply affected. Now comes to the information technology sector. So in information technology sector, we can say most of us have belong to that particular industry. So due to lockdown, many companies have actually shut down their processes they have lay off their employees because there is a decrease in demand of services, because now all the other departments or all the other industries which actually took solutions from these IT industries, now, like, due to this lockdown, they are actually not doing production, so the demand has been reduced, so a lot of people have laid off, a lot of people have lost their job. Second is the existing projects are also not getting delivered on time, because previously in IT industries, like hundreds of people were sitting in a single office and they were working together. But now, like due to the corona, they can't come to the office, they can't sit together. So initially during the start of this pandemic in March and April month, so the projects were very much affected. Existing projects were not delivered at time to the clients. Also, the companies have started declining the new projects also. So this industry is also very much affected with this coronavirus. Now comes the shipping industry. The shipping industry is like also facing a major issue as the ports are closed right now. So most of the countries are not providing the entries of the ships from one country to another, especially from China, due to this increase. But right now, like they have opened the ports, and as lockdown is over, so again the shipping industry has started their work. But due to the bad relation between both the countries, so we are not able to right now track our products. So this is one of the major problem which is being faced by the shipping industry right now. So our import and export is also very much affected. Now comes the tourism and aviation industry. So in tourism and aviation industry, we can say no one is traveling right now, especially to the foreign countries, because we all know that coronavirus has spread like this. Only people traveled from China to another countries, and then they came back to their home countries. So right now, people are avoiding to travel. Even they are not traveling in their country itself. They are trying to avoid as much as possible. So if they are not traveling, so definitely like one of the major way of transport for traveling is the aviation industry. So in aviation industry, like for 2 months, I can say straight away the domestic flights, we can say, and international flights both were affected. So, excuse me. So both the flights were affected at that time, and after that, like we can say, then these flights have been resumed, but in a very limited manner. Like only the aisle seat or only the window seat people will sit. The middle seat will be completely vacant. So that also create a lot of loss in the aviation sector, and only certain flights from certain cities have been started. So this industry is also facing a lot of issues, and employees are like working with LWP. They are giving LWP. They are working for like 1 month, and then again 1 month there is a delay. So this industry has faced a lot due to this corona, and it will again, I guess, it can take up to a year to come off from this loss. Now, what are the precautionary measures which can taken against COVID-19? So, as directed by WHO, so we have to actually clean our hands often, use soap and water solution, use a sanitizer or alcohol-based mixture, and we have to actually maintain a safe distance from anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Then always wear a mask when we are like actual physical distancing is not possible. We are talking to people or we are going to purchase something. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth, as there is a lot of chances that this virus particles can stuck to your fingers, and when you are touching your eyes or nose or mouth, they can get inside your body. Then, okay, so yes, my voice is echoing. Okay, Vishwajit, is it clear right now? Yes. Then stay safe if you feel unwell. So stay home. Sorry, stay home if you feel unwell. So basically, this quarantine is, yes. So it's basically for the quarantine part. Like if you are not feeling well, so it is advised by WHO that you should stay home. So in case like if you are like prone to this virus, or if you already affected, so it should not spread to everyone else. And the best solution for this like is quarantine. If you are having some symptoms also, and it's like you have to take some medical attention. After that, getting prescriptions, so you can stay home and you can stay like for 14 days. Once you are well, you can again go outside. Then if you have fever, cough, difficulty breathing, seek medical attention. So any of these symptoms, if you see any of these symptoms, you directly go to the medical and like ask for a test or go to a doctor, they will prescribe you. After that, role of technology in prevention. So what is the role of technology in prevention? So we will see, and now we will study like what are the different roles that technology can play in the prevention of coronavirus. Fighting misinformation. Fighting misinformation means right now we know the social media is like very powerful thing, and sometimes we come across the fake news that this number of people have died and this number of people have been tested positive, and now government is running this particular policy. So there are a lot of misinformation. So how we can tackle this information? So this can be done by technology itself. So right now one of the major social media giants, we can say Facebook, Google, and YouTube, they are actually working on this part a lot. As you all have seen, like whenever they're on the YouTube, if something related to Corona or COVID-19, you can always see there is a small message on the bottom of the video that related to WHO, so that you can directly visit to that site. So they are actually promoting and providing the right information to the people, so that there is a reduce in this chaos. Panic buying has happened in the starting when people have heard this virus will spread and this will not be resolved. So people have bought a lot of essential supplies. Due to that, a lot of price has increased, and sometimes people have also created violence also on the streets, discrimination to this corona affected people, like who are like positive previously, who were positive, and then they again, when they were like good and they return back to their home, then also people were actually discriminating them that they are positive and they can again spread. Then there are a lot of conspiracy theory also. Many people still in rural part of India believes that that corona is not a disease, it's actually a kind of a theory spread by government just to divert everyone. So this is also there. Then the number of fatalities and diagnosis, treatment options, vaccines, and all the policies. So these things are actually right number, like this right, providing this right number is very difficult. So these particular sites, which can say they are using certain technologies, artificial intelligence, data analytics. So they used to collect all the information together and then they represent you in the right form. Now finding drugs. So one of the major role of technology is there in finding drugs, because now every country is running after finding the vaccine for this virus, because this is the only solution which is got. But we already know like finding or getting a vaccine almost take around like 5 years to 10 years, right? So how we can actually you know cover that particular period like of 5 years if we want to get it developed fast. So as the problem has increased, the same way we are actually working on the technology part also. So right now we are using artificial intelligence. So that is actually playing a very vital role, because it is actually providing the structure of this virus, the protein structure, so that we can watch it, we can understand it, and according to that protein structure, this artificial intelligence only, like from tons of, we can say, research paper, it used to give you the right research paper, so that the researcher can study and can understand like how we can work on that particular part, right? After that, increasing traceability and transparency by sharing data. So we can see that a lot of messages regarding the current scenario and reminders are being sent in different countries, in Korea, in Taiwan, and many countries have designed their apps and their SMS system. They are sending messages. Even many companies like Google, Microsoft, Facebook, YouTube, and even TikTok also, they have partnered with WHO to provide a live stream so that users can directly talk with the WHO team, so that they can get the solution or get the result of their problem. Now in India also, telecom partners like Jio, BSNL, Airtel, and all the other providers, they all have provided the caller tunes regarding the awareness of this pandemic situation. So about the lockdown, they have different caller tune, and then when the lockdown process have started, then they have that particular caller tune. So there also technology plays a very vital role. Now, tracking people with facial recognition and big data. So big data is nothing but it's data analytics. So like right now people are moving here and there, and we have to actually identify like, okay, this person is wearing mask or not. or if they are entering some area where like they can prone to this virus. So we can use the technology called facial recognition system, and using that technology along with data analytics, we can identify that particular person is not wearing the mask. We can have a system that we don't allow that particular person, right? So we can attach that technology with cameras also to identify the infected people also who are actually breaking the rules and coming out of quarantine. Okay, so I'll play one small video so that you can see how does it. So here in the video you can see, if you are like, this is a software which is being prepared with OpenCV. So if you are not wearing mask, it will give you that you are not wearing mask 100%. And when you are like you are covering your nose and mouth. So basically the system detects by when you cover your nose and mouth. So it will tell you that yes, you are wearing the mask right now. So this is very helpful in offices or in public areas, and to detect people and tell like to see that whether these people are wearing masks or not. Right? Okay. Okay. Now, technology supported temperature monitoring. So we have seen this thermometer gun right now. Like whenever we are going to offices, whenever we are entering some building, whenever we are going to airport, first of all there is a temperature check. So this is like wireless thermometer guns we can say. So they will put it on your face and then you will get to know about the temperature. So they use infrared sensor. So our body emit infrared rays. So they used to detect it and tell that whether this person is having fever or not. Then we can actually automate this system, this thermal monitoring with facial recognition. So like this work right now we are doing manually. So there is again a chance if a person is checking you or detecting you, he can also get affected if the same person has sneezed or coughed. So for avoiding that, we can make the system automated. We can use a facial recognition system and we can make the system standalone. If the person is moving, so it will automatically detect the temperature. Same as if he is positive, so his face will be recognized and later on we can track that person. Now, contactless movement and deliveries through autonomous vehicles, roads, and robots. So right now, technology is also evolving as the problem is emerging. So inventions are also coming. So self-driving cars, drones, robots, they are actually helping a lot in avoiding the human contacts, especially in hospitals. In hospitals, we can see like robots can be used because most of the positive patients are kept in the hospital. Even after wearing the PPE kit, doctors and nurses are getting positive. So to avoid that, we can use robots. So robots can be used in giving medicines to the patient, just collecting the samples, then cleaning the floor, disinfecting. These all things can be done by the robots in hospitals. Second is deliveries can also be done. Then patrolling on the streets. So instead of like right now, a lot of policemen and police officers around the street, they got positive because they were checking people and they were actually guiding people to wear the mask and not to follow our social distancing. So to avoid that also we can have robots on the street so that they can detect if somebody is not wearing a mask, or like they can check like if there is any wrong activity going on in that area. Same as drones can be used for food delivery. So in India right now, one or two cities are right now using this food delivery using drone. In Lucknow, there's one company they are using to deliver pizzas using drone. Then spraying disinfectant. Spraying disinfectant is also like in some areas which are affected. So in that area, we can spray these disinfectant over there, thermal imaging and carrying test kit. So thermal imaging can also be done from the top. From there also, if we have good cameras and good sensors, so from the top only we can actually monitor and we can see in the crowd if the person is positive or not. Then carrying the test kit. So if we are collecting the corona positive samples, so there is again a chance of spread. So we can use these drones to carry this test kit. Also to deliver medicine also, we can use drones. But in India, like right now, most of the part of the country is not well versed with the technology part. But yes, some parts are using robots. Like in AIMS, we have robots right now which are actually giving medicines to the patients. Again, remote working technologies to support social distancing and maintain business continuity. So as we all know that business has affected a lot due to this COVID-19 situation, and we all were going to office for our work. as I told you that this IT industry has like got a lot of loss due to this corona. So they were not able to organize all things together. So but thanks to the technology part, they have actually provided us this virtual meetings, cloud conferencing, then secure data also. In today's world, we have virtual and augmented and mixed reality technology so that we can sit at our home and we can actually give presentation. We can work on some particular project. Also, the classes in colleges and schools have been started. Uh, yes, somebody wants to say something. Okay, so yes, so a lot of online conferencing apps are there. Lot of online like softwares are right now working. People are working like effectively right now through this COVID scenario. So it's like actually helping in maintaining the social distance, and also the productivity also increase due to use of technology. Okay. Okay, now we will understand about like what is IoT and how does it works. So IoT, like it's a very popular term these days. Like everyone has came across like IoT. Every time IoT, this 5G is also coming on IoT. So this IoT is nothing. It's like Internet of Things, and it's like connecting all the different things in our surrounding to the internet so that we can control it from anywhere. So we'll watch a small video. It's an animation, so we will understand about how does this IoT work. Okay, so Internet of Things. So Internet of Things is a collection of lot of devices, lot of things around us. So say example of a home, we can control our air conditioner with our mobile phone. There are smart cars which can provide a shortest distance. Then smart wearables are there which can tell us about our physical well-being. So there are thousands of devices which are actually connected to the internet, and using cloud we can collect all the data together and we can use it as per our productivity and requirement. So there is a microcontroller installed in all the devices these days. If you have mobile camera and anything, right? So not only in those things, then in our home appliances also there is a barcode scanner. Then in traffic lights also we have sensors and microcontrollers. So almost like we have to install this microcontroller and sensors in everything. Then these data are being sent to the cloud using this microcontroller and sensors. So when this data is being sent to the cloud, this data is collected, so we can utilize this data in the right way so that it can help us, right? So using IoT, so IoT provides a common platform for all the devices together so that all the particular device can send their data to the single and common platform using a single language. Then this data is collected, and using this data we can analyze. This data is collected in the form of a databases on the cloud, and the important part of this data is analyzed using the analytical tools, and the right data which we want to use it for our purpose is being sent to the user in any of the device, not only mobile phone. They can use it on their laptop and can be used for automation also. So using all this data, we can actually automate all of our device. So we'll take an example of an industry. So here's the AC manufacturing going on. This is the conveyor belt. So there are the sensor and there is a device which does the product code. So both things are connected together, and the data of every product is being sent to the manufacturer. That every product you can see the details, the product ID, everything, manufacturing and all the things together using the help of internet. Now this data is going through a device which is actually putting a barcode scanner on particular product. So by scanning the barcode, we can know like when it was manufactured and when it was produced. Now this data we can see the locations also, that at which location, in which stores we have sent our this particular product. So this is actually going to the city from the manufacturer to the retailers. Now when this particular product is sent to the supermarkets, shops, and so here like the vendors or the shopkeepers have barcode scanner. They scan the particular product, and by scanning the manufacturer will get to know, okay, how many products have been consumed and how many products are left. So accordingly he can start the productivity. So here we can see our air conditioners also right now have integrated microcontrollers and sensors, so that like they can always send their health, that how they are working health and their temperature condition to the cloud, and this data is continuously monitored, and the customer support can contact the person at the right time for the maintenance. So this is one of the million scenarios of IoT we can see these days. So not only smart car or smart home, smart city, everything can be connected and then can made smart using the help of Internet of Things. So they have a lot of advantages and uses of internet right now. So future of IoT is very huge. So according to a study by Business Insider Intelligence, so 24 billion devices will be connected to IoT in 2020. And as a study by IDC, it predicts that around 357 billion-dollar industry it will be there. So it will generate a lot of jobs opportunity for individuals. So IoT has a very wide future. So we can see from this video that IoT is a very emerging field, we can say, and like it is actually generating a lot of revenue. And previously we can see for 6 or 7 years back, we were hardly using one or two devices that was connected to the internet. Nowadays we have smart watches, very smart air conditioners, this personal assistant like Google Home and Alexa, smart lights. Many things are there, and slowly and gradually there will be a lot of devices that will be connected to the internet. Now we will understand this. Okay, so IoT basically is like Internet of Things. Internet of Things means anything which is connected to internet, means sending the data to the internet so that we can control also from it. Okay, so now we will understand how does internet work first. Okay, so first we'll see first we will see the components of IoT. So what are the important components in IoT? So first is thing. Thing means anything. It could be your mobile phone, it could be your car, it could be your air conditioner, it could be your garden, right? It could be your cloth also. Even there are smart clothes which can tell you that you need to wash it right now. There are a lot of things which can be connected. So anything we can take, and this thing we will going to be connected with embedded system. So embedded system is a combination of sensors and microcontrollers. So you can connect anything with embedded system. Then this embedded system will read the value and send it to the internet. And through internet, it will go to the cloud. And from cloud, it can be accessed by remote users from anywhere. So if we want to control anything, so remote user who is sitting in any different part of the country or in any different place, he can actually control any of the device. So these are the major components for an IoT device. Okay, now we will see how internet works. Okay, so if we like wonder like how like whenever you open any website, so we don't know like how our website is actually work. So we'll see a scenario over here. So on our laptop, we will type www.google.com. Okay. Let's see how this google.com is going to reply us. So we have actually typed this www.google.com onto our browser, and our laptop is connected by a router for accessing the internet. So this data is going through the router, and our router is actually connected with the internet service provider. So our local area internet service provider is there. Then this data is going to the local routing hub. This local routing hub can be set up in your city or in your state. Then from this local routing hub, it will go to the regional routing hub. So these regional routing hub can be your state also and can be your like your country's main point of optic fiber contact. And from here, through optic fiber cable or undersea cables, it used to go to the server of Google. So see how it actually takes the pass. If you type the google.com on the browser, it goes to your router. Then from your router, it went to your ISP, means your internet service provider. Anyone, it could be a Geo or it could be a local internet provider. From there, it will go to a local routing hub. Then from local routing hub, it will go to a regional routing hub. Through your regional routing hub, it will under sea cables, it will go to the Google servers. Now, once this request has been sent, so this is a sent request. Now, from Google, it will reply. Then again, it will go through undersea cables. Then again, regional routing hub. From regional routing hub, it will go to local routing hub. From local routing hub, it will go to internet service provider. Then again to your router. And from your router to your laptop, to the website of Google is working. So this is how your internet actually works. So you can see this is a very long path, but it is done in milliseconds. So this is how our internet is very fast. So this is done in milliseconds. Now, we will understand why IoT is the best solution to fight with COVID-19. So we can see some of the scenario why it is best. First is superior treatment, reduce chances of mistakes, lesser expenses, enhanced diagnosis, and effective control. So we will understand all these parts in detail. So, in the case of medical, we can see the health data monitoring in remote location is possible. While sitting at a remote location, we can see while sitting in Delhi, we can monitor the condition of our patient in Pune, in Mumbai, in Chennai. So remote monitoring of the health condition is also possible. Then virtual management. So now doctors are also not physically doing the test. They are actually doing it virtually. They will make patient, they can sit from anywhere. You can have, right now we have like a lot of apps called docs apps, and there are various apps which are actually providing doctors on call or video call. So you can tell your symptoms to the doctor, and accordingly he will guide you. Third is analysis of the data receiving and controlling. So whatever data we are receiving from our patient, we can directly analyze, and we can analyze in a better way because it's a digital data right now. And also on the patient part, now we are not physically testing them, we are actually putting a lot of bands or a lot of devices on them, so that regularly these devices are sending us the data, and using the analytics technology or analytics tool, we can find out the right data for ourselves, and we can analyze that okay, the patient is actually showing growth, or is improving, or it's going into the bad condition. Also, we can follow up easily. But in, like, if we received any report, so it's easy when you are connected via internet. So using the technology, you can easily follow up, because you will get the notification, as we use in our technical terms. You can say in our corporate sector, we use CRM tools, the customer relationship manager tool. Same as like in the analytics part also, when we are getting data from different patients. So this data, we can see like a patient is under critical condition, so we will get notifications, we will get alert. If the patient is improving, we can get that particular thing. If the patient is taking the medicine, then also we are getting alert. So a lot of things can be controlled using IoT. So IoT is actually playing a very vital role in in covering this situation of this COVID-19. Now we all have heard about Arogya Setu app, and it was actually advised by the Prime Minister also that you all must have installed this Arogya Setu app. So what is this app? Like, everyone is told it to install it, but most of us don't understand why actually we have been told that you have to install this Arogya Setu app. So Arogya Setu app is basically designed for self-assessment. So it will like in the starting, when you will log in on this app, it will take some of your information like your mobile number. After that, you choose your language. Then it will ask you some questions that what are you feeling, what are you feeling, any symptoms. So if you tell your symptoms, then it will ask you some other history, medical history about yourself, that previously have been like you have been having any disease or not. Then it will ask some questions like, have you traveled abroad during this last 14 or 15 days. Accordingly, it will do an assessment, and it will send you a report. So that according to that report, it will tell you you are like at risk or not. And if you are at risk, so you don't have to worry. You have to actually reach to your nearest medical office, or you can contact via this IPR or toll-free numbers, and you can tell like if you are feeling any symptoms, and you can get tested. So this is one thing. The second thing, why this app is actually designed. This app is actually designed for tracking of patients. So if you are like having Arogya Setu installed on your mobile phone, and you have did your self-assessment, and for example, you are like right now you are good, you don't have any symptom. But there is someone who did a self-assessment, and he is actually positive. He is actually having some symptoms which are actually which are similar to this coronavirus. So whenever you are traveling in the particular part, you will get a notification that you are very close to a person who is having this coronavirus. Or if you are traveling to a red zone area where there are a lot of cases, so the app will notify you. So this actually helps the government also to track. Same as for us also, we will be able to notify that okay, this particular area or nearby me, this particular person is actually positive. So we have to actually put our right data in the app. So we'll watch a small video. Okay, so we all must have this Arogya Setu app on our mobile phone. So, like we will also get to know that if somebody is nearby is positive or not. So it's mandatory that we all should have this Arogya Setu app installed on our mobile phone. So here the technology is right now playing a very important role. India has right now has this around 100 million downloads of this Arogya Setu app. So most of us still they don't have this particular app, and we should enter the right information so that we can save us and others also. Now we will understand the design and working of this automated thermal screening system. So, I will not go into much details and much technicalities, but I will give you an idea so that if you are going to design this particular system for yourself or your organization, so you can proceed further in that case. So I'll tell you what is this automatic thermal screening system. So we'll watch a small video and then I'll explain you. Here you can see there is a sensor which is here, and there is one screen. So a person is standing in front of this particular device, which is mounted on a mounted on a stand, and then here you can see his temperature is 97 degree, means he doesn't have any fever, right? So this particular device, right now he is not having fever. So how we will know that this person is having fever or not? So what we will do, we'll bring a food in front of it. So it's a hot food. So as soon as you bring something which is very hot, so you can see on the screen, it will tell you the temperature and there's a red mark you can see. So here you can see max 105 temperature was there. So there is a pre-recorded sound in that. So this pre-recorded sound will tell you you are actually you need to move further. So you need to move further, you can go for the test part. So thermal screening means reading the temperature using a camera sensor. Thermal camera sensor means if somebody is passing by from anywhere, so we have to actually monitor if he is entering a office, he is entering a school, if he is entering any public building. Okay, so these systems are very helpful in that, you have to just install this particular system, and when somebody is moving from there, so we will get to know, okay, this person is a positive person, or if this person is having fever, so we can easily identify them, and we can make we can stop them from go forward. Okay, so how we design this system, so and why this is an automatic thermal screening system. In automatic thermal screening system, you need not to use a gun. So for designing any system or any device for IoT part also, we require a sensor, a microcontroller, internet, and then a cloud. Okay. So designing any device we require right now three major things. One is called embedded system. So these two things together is called embedded system. These two things together is called embedded system. Then your internet is cloud. Okay. So here we are using a sensor. So sensor is actually a device which actually converts the physical surroundings into electrical voltages or electrical signals, we can say. So a temperature sensor is actually taking a temperature or a heat and then converting that heat into some electrical voltage. And when we are getting electrical voltage, we can easily convert it into digital form, and we can actually analyze the data. We can analyze the data, we can get it value, and accordingly we can give the instructions. So here I'll show you some of the sensors. Okay, so I'm just turning on the camera. I'll show you some of the sensors and how these digital sensors work. So we do have some sensors in our body. So in our body we have five different sensors, like eyes for seeing, like ear for hearing, and nose for smell, tongue for taste, and skin for touch. Have sensors. So I can show you some of the sensor. One is, this is called ultrasonic sensor. This is basically used for measuring the distance between any object. Second, I can show you the infrared sensors. So in infrared sensors, you can see this is basically used to measure some distance. Then I'll show you a PIR sensor. So this is almost same as our thermal sensor, thermal camera sensor. So this sensor basically detects human if somebody is passing by. Then we have this rain sensor, we can say. Also we have like water flow sensor. So there are like, hundreds or you can say thousands of sensors available in that digital form, so that we can actually measure the surroundings and we can understand, and we can take the surrounding, we can measure that physical value, and then after measuring that physical value we can actually perform some operations on it. So for performing operations we require a computer. Or a device which take these values, do the operations on it, addition, division, multiplication, or any of the operations, and give us the final result. So there is a formula applied, as a normal thing is a formula applied. So these logical operations and then saving the data and then displaying the data. So this is actually done by a computer. So for doing a small work, if we are using computer, so it's very costly and it's like not effective also. So for that, we have designed microcontrollers. So microcontrollers are the device which are like a computer, but they can use for a particular application. Their application is specific. So there are like different kinds of microcontrollers available in the market. So right now, the best one, which I can say, is Raspberry Pi. Most of you know about this particular device. So this Raspberry Pi is the credit card size computer, which is having USB ports on it. So these USB ports can be used to connect your mouse, any of the device. You can use to connect pen drive. Then we have a LAN port for the connectivity of internet. We have some aux cable. Here you can use for audio output. Then this is HDMI, we can use for in audio or video output. Then this is for the power supply part. We can connect cameras over here. Also, it has inbuilt Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Second thing is like there are certain pins here you can see. So these pins are actually called GPIO pins. GPIO pins means general purpose input output pins. So in using these pins, we will read values from this sensor. So let's say for example, we have this sensor. Right now we don't have this thermal camera sensor. So I'll explain you with this particular sensor. So let's assume this is the thermal camera sensor. So this is PIR sensor. Actually, it detects a movement. If a human is moving from here, so it detects that movement. So that moment, whenever this movement is detected, so a light should turn on. So we have been to around many places where in hotels and like many offices where like when you move, it will detect you and the light will turn on. So this is done by using this particular sensor only. So this sensor is there. So how what we will do? We will connect this sensor with this particular device. So any electronic device, if you are running any electronic device, we always require two things. One is like the power. First is like you have to provide a power to any of the sensor. It will not work automatically. So every sensor has three major pins. Three major pins means one is called VCC or V input pin, means input voltage. Then one is ground and one is the data pin. Right. The three pins we can see: input pin, ground pin, and data pin. So we use three different pins in every sensor. Okay. So in thermal sensor, we will study later. So we will connect this sensor to this particular board using some connecting wires. So there are wires. Using these wires, you can connect your sensors to the microcontroller. So there are other microcontrollers are also available in the market. One is called Arduino. This is very, I can say, cost effective because it will cost you around 400 to 500 rupees. It is a bit costly, but it's complete like a computer. It will replace you a completely. Here you can run your operating system inside it. It has its own operating system called Raspberry OS. So here it's a Linux version only. So you can install an operating system inside this. It has a RAM of 1 GB, and there is a one more model available in the market which is actually having 4 GB version. Okay. Yes. Now I'll tell you about like the internet part. So see, it is actually detecting the data. It is sending the data over here. Here some program has been written which is inside this particular device, that whenever somebody is passing through this particular sensor, a signal must be given, a high signal or low signal. A signal must be given to this device. So whenever this device will receive a signal, so this device will send some output. Okay, so if there is a output device which is connected with these pins, if a bulb is connected, so it will turn on or turn off. Similarly, in our case, if this is the camera sensor, if it is a thermal camera sensor, so it is detecting some human, it is detecting the temperature. So it will continuously send the value to this microcontroller. And in this microcontroller, we have written our program. Okay, in that particular program, we have put it certain value that okay, if the temperature goes above 99 degrees Celsius. So show that the high temperature or like whatever the output you want to, that you are having high temperature, go for a testing. Or if you want to make like if somebody is having high temperature, is going inside a building or inside a room, you can make an automatic door lock. So if he is like having temperature less than 99, the door will open, he can go inside. If the temperature is above 99 degrees Celsius, right, so the door will not get opened. You will get a warning message. Same at the same time, the particular message or particular signal will be sent to the internet. So how it will be sent to the internet? So for sending the data to the internet, we will require our microcontroller to contact to send data with the internet. So we require our microcontroller to be connected with the internet. To connect our microcontroller or Raspberry Pi to the internet, we will require either a Wi-Fi connection. So using a router, you can use your own router, right? So router will provide a Wi-Fi signal. So in this device, you will put your username, password. This device will be connected. Then in your program, you will make certain modification that whatever values you are receiving, you will transmit those values to the particular like address or particular website or particular cloud where you want to send it. Okay, and in this device for the Raspberry Pi, let me explain you. There are three different ways you can connect with Wi-Fi or connect with internet. One is the Wi-Fi. Second is you can actually connect with USB tethering. Using your mobile phone, you can actually connect on the USB port. You can use USB tethering also. Third is the LAN cable. So you can connect this device using LAN cable also for the internet. Okay. Next comes the cloud storage. So now you are actually reading the data. So data is coming over here. We can see this person is having like high temperature or this person is having low temperature. So continuously data is coming. So now we have to actually save this data, and after saving the data, we can analyze. Okay, we can do whatever operations we want. So for saving this data, if we are sending the data to the internet, it should be collected somewhere. Okay, to collect this data, we use a thing called cloud. Okay, so cloud storage. So I'll tell you about like cloud. So cloud are basically is a storage or it's a space we can say on the internet. So cloud is like server. As I have told you how does internet work, you have seen that Google is having a server in USA. But whenever we are like putting a request that open the website of google.com, so it is actually taking so long path, and then again data is coming back. Similarly, the cloud means it can be accessed from anywhere. So whatever data you are actually collecting and you are sending using the internet, it is getting saved in some servers which are placed in remote location. And you are sitting in any part of the country or you are sitting in any region of the earth, you can using the help of the internet, you can access that particular data. Okay, so in the cloud the data is going there. Okay, now one more thing is there. We are whatever the data which we are receiving, the data is a continuous data we can say, or there is also a small interval. So we are like continuously receiving the temperature 97, 95, 96, 97, 98. So we will get like thousands of value in very less time, hundreds and thousands of value in very less time. So it will be very difficult for us to monitor that, right? So if we represent that data in the tabular form, so it will be very difficult for us. But if we convert the data into some form of a graph, or there will be like a graphical representation or a pie chart representation, so that will be easy to monitor and analyze. So for that, there are like various analytics technologies used inside these particular clouds. So right now we have like a lot of options. We have like AWS cloud, we have like Google has its cloud IoT services, Microsoft is having, IBM is having, and then there are a lot of other companies which are having the cloud storage. So you can now access this data from anywhere, any part of the world. So we can install this particular system, let's say in our office, and we are sitting in some other office. We can say a head office. We are sitting in Delhi. We have our branch office in Pune, and how like the employees are entering the building. So we can see from Delhi. Okay, so this particular employee is a positive or is having a high temperature. So we can, while sitting in Delhi, we can see that this person is like who is entering right now is having a high temperature. Send him for the testing part. Now, working of a thermal camera sensor. So whenever you use a device or a sensor, so there is a connection schematic. So I'll not go into much details, but I'll tell you about the pinouts. So every sensor I told you have three main pins. Three main pins in the sense, one is like voltage pin, like we input or VCC, we can say voltage input pin. One is called ground, and one is for the data. But here in this case, you can see here, this is the thermal sensor, thermal camera sensor. So in this case, we can see there are like two data pins, not one, two data pins. So here we can see one is the SDA pin and one is what STL pin. Okay, so we will power up the device. So we will have a sensor and then we will have a Raspberry Pi. So we will connect the V input to 3 volt of Raspberry Pi. So you will connect ground of Raspberry Pi to the ground of sensor. Then SDA means serial data. SDA means serial data pin. Means your device will send your data in the form of bits and bytes, right? So this data is being sent in the form of bits and bytes, right? So there is like there should be a proper you can say a clock should be there. Like after a particular interval, there should be one particular bit will go. Then there will be again a clock, and there will be an interval. Then again the next bit will go. Then again the next clock, next bit will go. So similarly, like there will be a pattern which will be followed. So for that, there is a serial clock pin, SCL pin. So it's a digital sensor. So there are two types of sensors also. One is analog sensor and one is digital sensor. So analog sensors basically measures the physical surrounding and convert them into form of voltages. So these voltages are like you can say are not like they are like continuous signal, but they are actually changing with time. They are varying with time. But in digital signal you can see you are either going to get a high value or one or zero, one or zero. So digital values can be directly processed by a microcontroller, but if we are using an analog sensor, then first we have to actually convert that analog voltage into a digital voltage, then we can send it to a sensor. Okay, so we will see the integration of sensor with Raspberry Pi. So here is our sensor, the thermal camera sensor, and we have made our connection. So these schematics you will find it over the internet, the Raspberry Pi GPIO pins. Okay, so we have made our connection. So this device is now powered. Let's see what output we are going to get. Okay. Okay, so now you can see there is a thermal camera sensor here, and it is right now connected with Raspberry Pi, and Raspberry Pi is also connected with a screen. So here we are using a small screen to check the output directly. So right now this device is not connected to internet. Okay, so this device is right now offline. We are just testing our sensor that our sensor is working properly or not. Okay, so this is like our hand, and when we are moving our hand, so we can see the image of our hand as well as the temperature conditions. So this is just to test your sensor. We'll watch again. This is how our thermal camera sensor will work. Now we got these values, and now we have to send these values to the cloud. So for sending this value to the cloud, again we have to connect to the internet. So whatever values we have received here, whatever the output we were getting on that screen which was connected to this Raspberry Pi, now that data will be sent to the cloud with the help of internet. So we will connect with internet. Then from internet, it will go to the particular data. We will input the credential of this cloud, and this data will be stored on this particular cloud. Now the cloud, what the cloud will do, cloud will be running some analytics softwares inside it, and from the data which is stored inside it, it will analyze those data and will give you the output. So how to read this data from the cloud? So the data will be coming from again we will be accessing this data if we are sitting in a remote location with the help of internet. We can access it on any device. It could be a laptop, it could be a mobile phone or a tablet. We have entered the credentials of the cloud, and now we will be able to see the data which is being monitored by the sensor. Thank you. If you have any questions, now you can ask me. Okay, somebody wants to know about the components of IoT once again. Nishita Ghosh. Okay, so the components of IoT is like anything. Thing means I'll explain you. Okay, so I'll tell you about what is the components of Internet of Things. So any of the device, if you want to connect to IoT, so it could be anything. But right now, I'll tell you. This is my glasses. So these are normal glasses. So no technology, nothing is involved in it. If I want to connect it with the internet, right? If I want to connect it with the internet, so what I will have to do is this will be the thing. This will call the thing. Okay. Now this thing will be connected with some sensors. Say for example, I have connected this particular sensor over here. So I have connected one sensor, and then this sensor will take the data from this particular thing, and this data from the sensor will go to the microcontroller. So this together is called embedded system. Okay, notice this thing together is called embedded system. This is alone called microcontroller, and microcontroller along with sensor is called embedded system. Embedded system is lot of like RAM, ROM, and all the different devices are together or embedded on a single chip. Okay, so this embedded system will be connected to your thing. These two things are connected. Now, if this particular device will be connected to the internet with the help of either your Wi-Fi router or your mobile phone or LAN cable. So there are like three main components. After that, what the data which you are sending to the internet, it will be stored in the cloud, and from the cloud the user can see it. I guess it is clear. Okay, any other questions or doubts if somebody has? Okay, so yes, so Suparno asking that Raspberry Pi is too costly. So can we have like something else other than Raspberry Pi? Yes, right now we have one device called ESP8266 Node MCU board, not the Wi-Fi module. So we can use Node MCU board that is also like running on a very high frequency, and we can utilize it in most of the applications. We cannot use Arduino in case of using a camera because camera requires high processing, and that's why for using high processing device we require like a microcontroller which can run at a very high clock rate. So for that you can use ESP8266 Node MCU board that will cost you around 400 and 500 rupees. Then there is a Banana Pi also. You can use it. Banana Pi will cost you something around 2000, and Raspberry Pi Zero you will get it at a very low cost of 1500 to 2000. So you can use ESP8266 Node MCU board. That will be helpful. Yes, I guess this is clear. Yes, any other questions? Any other doubts if you have in the IoT part that some particular thing is not clear to you? So in case like again, if you have any doubts or question and it's not clear to you, you can go to the website of IB Professional, and you can, the email is being shared in the chat. So from there you can go for the survey part also, and an email will be also shared. So you can go to the IB Professional website also on the chat support. You can ask your question and you will get your solution. So please share your feedback for this webinar. Yes, thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.